on to what I like to call the CDC Drowned Dun. What it is basically a wet fly with some CDC Hackle in there, which adds a lot of movement when you're fishing your fly. As you can see, as I kind of blow on it right there, you can just see how easy that stuff moves, so you can just imagine what that thing's going to do in the water. So to get started, I'm going to take a hook, and to make it just a little more of a wet fly, let's even put a bead head on here. Let me get that turned around. Let's take it out of my finger, and we'll add a bead in there. By putting that bead on there, we're just making sure that we're going to be sinking this fly. So we'll get our thread up here, and then we can tie in our tails. For the tails, we're going to use the mayfly tails, or better referred to as microfibbits. And we'll just select a couple of them. And we'll make them just about the length of the hook shank. Tie those in. And we're going to do a figure 8 through them, just to make sure they stay separated and don't come together as you're fishing it. Now we're ready to tie in the body material. For that, we're going to be using D-rib. As you can tell, I'm using a brown thread. And when I use this D-rib, which is kind of a rust color, it's just going to make it a little bit darker and give it a little bit different appearance. I'm making sure that the D is going to be on the top side for when I wrap it forward, and I get that nice segmentation. Now I just cut off the excess tailing material. Now we're going to wrap our D-rib forward. First couple wraps, you're going to want them fairly tight, and as you start getting down the hook shank, you can start easing up on the tension till it's fairly loose with no tension, and you build in a natural taper. Take off our body material. Just like so. And then we're going to tie in our wings. For our wings, we're going to use some Medallion sheeting. The color we're going to be using is you can either use medium dun or light dun, what I'm using here. And that just makes it give it a little more of a hayline effect to it. And it's just a little bit more noticeable to the trout. So you set that up there so it's spent right behind the bead. Tie it in. Pull on it to take out the wrinkles. And now we're going to just push those out of the way, and we're going to dub the thorax. Since we have a rust colored body, what we're going to be using is either the red quill, but since I'm going to want a little bit darker, I'm going to use the mahogany dun color. So we'll add a little mahogany dun here. Just get it on our thread. Now, I'm not real concerned that it's super tight. Otherwise I could just add some dubbing wax to my fingers and go over it again. And we just dub the thorax. And what I'm going to do is pull the wings back along the side, tie it down, just like so. And before we get our CDC Hackle in there, we're going to make life easier and just come in and trim our wings now. Kind of round them off, making them look more like a mayfly wing, like so. so. And now we're ready to add our hackle. Instead of using a standard hackle or a wet fly hackle, we're going to just use some CDC. So we're just going to pull some of the fibers back, snip off the tip, tie that in right behind the bead, and we'll just take some turns of the CDC right here. Couple more, and we'll tie that off right behind the bead. The whole idea behind this is just to give a lot more movement to your fly, and what that does is just entices the fish a little bit more and gives them something that they just can't seem to refuse.
Got 2 minutes.
Now that we're done with that, we can just come on in, whip finish it off. Whip finish it off. And we have a CDC Drowned Dun pattern. Like the first one that didn't have the bead, which gives you more options so you can fish it as a dry fly or an adult pattern. This one has the bead, so you can fish it as a dropper fly or down in the water column a little bit. And this is what I like to call the CDC Drowned Dun.